Unity of Houston is an inclusive church where we seek to understand and live the teachings of Jesus and other spiritual masters. At Unity, we welcome all people from all spiritual paths and every walk of life. We celebrate the diversity of our city and of our world, and we teach love, tolerance, and oneness, seeking to live in harmony with open minds and open hearts.
Wherever you are in your spiritual path, you are always welcome at Unity. Join us and discover that the life of your dreams is already within you. At Celebration Sunday, traditionally, we do have a lot of music because I don't know if there's a way that the spoken word can really get to those places in our heart that the songs do. And how beautiful it is to just be able to sing. There is something greater than we are that knows us, that loves us. We celebrate that truth. This story concerns a monastery that had fallen on hard times. Once a great order, as a result of waves of anti-monastic persecution in the 17th and 18th centuries, the rise of secularism in the 19th, all of its branch houses were lost. And it had become decimated to the extent that there were only 5 monks left in a decaying mother house, the abbot and 4 others, all over 70 in age. Clearly, it was a dying order. In the deep woods surrounding the monastery, there was a little hut that a rabbi from a nearby town would occasionally use for a hermitage. And through their many years of prayer and contemplation, the old monks had become a bit psychic, so they could always sense when the rabbi was in his hermitage. The rabbi is in the woods. The rabbi is in the woods again, they would whisper to one another. As the abbot agonized over the imminent death of his orders, it occurred to him that if by some possible chance he could offer any advice that might save his monastery, he might visit the rabbi and ask. The rabbi welcomed the abbot into his hut, but when the abbot explained the purpose of his visit, the rabbi could only commiserate with him. I know how it is. It is the same in my town. Almost no one comes to synagogue anymore. So the old abbot and the old rabbi wept together. Then they read parts of the Torah and they quietly spoke of deep things. The time came when the abbot was to leave and they embraced each other, and he said, "It has been wonderful that we should meet after all these years, but I have still failed in my purpose for coming here. Is there nothing you can tell me? No piece of advice that you could give me that would help save my dying order?" "No, I'm sorry," the rabbi answered. "I have no advice to give. The only thing I can tell you is this. The Messiah is one of you." When the abbot returned to the monastery, his fellow monks gathered around him. "Well, what did the rabbi say?" He couldn't help, the abbot answered. "We just wept and read the Torah. But the only thing he did say, just as I was leaving, it was something cryptic. He said that the Messiah is one of us. I don't know what that means." And in the days and weeks that followed, the old monks pondered this again and wondered, was there any possible significance to the rabbi's words? The Messiah, one of us? Could he possibly have meant that one of us monks here at the monastery was the Messiah? And if that's the case, which one? Do you suppose he meant the abbot? Well, if he meant anyone, he probably meant the Father Abbot. He has been our leader for more than a generation. On the other hand, he might have meant Brother Thomas, because Brother Thomas is clearly a holy man. Everyone knows that Thomas is a man of light. Certainly, he couldn't have meant Brother Elred. Elred gets crotchety at times. But, to think of it, even though he is a thorn in people's sides, when you look back on it, Elred is almost always right. Often very right. Maybe the rabbi did mean Brother Elred. But surely not Brother Philip. Philip is so passive, almost a nobody. But then almost mysteriously, he has the gift for showing up when you need him. He magically appears at your side. Maybe Brother Philip is the Messiah. And of course, the rabbi didn't mean me. He couldn't possibly have meant that me, an ordinary person, the Messiah. Oh God, not me. I couldn't be that much for you, could I? And as they contemplated in this manner, the old monks began to treat each other with extraordinary respect, on the off chance that perhaps one of them might be the Messiah. And on the off chance that each monk himself might be the Messiah, they began to treat themselves with respect. Because the forest in which it was situated was beautiful, it so happened that people still occasionally came to visit the monastery to picnic on its tiny lawn, to wander along the paths, and even now and then to go into the dilapidated chapel to meditate. As they did so, without even being conscious of it, they sensed the aura of extraordinary respect that now began to surround the 5 old monks and seemed to radiate out from them and permeate the very atmosphere of the place. There was something strangely attractive, compelling about it. Hardly knowing why, they began to come back to the monastery more frequently, to picnic, to play, to pray. And then they began to bring their friends to show them this beautiful, special place. And their friends brought friends. And then it happened that some of the younger men who came to visit the monastery started to talk more and more with the old monks. And after a while, one of them asked if he could join. And then another. And then another. So within a few years, the old monastery had become vibrant again. A thriving order, thanks to the rabbi's gift. A vibrant center of light and spirituality in the realm. Well, that got me by surprise. We have been through something. This pandemic has disrupted our lives in so many ways. To see so many of you here in this room this morning, it's truly beautiful. Because sometimes we felt like those monks when we were completely shut down. We had no one here but the band and the camera guys. Thank you, camera guys. Thank you, sound guys, for being here all those Sundays. It's like his... Oh, thank you. But there was a fear, I think, that some of us had. Are we ever going to come back together and celebrate again? Is that light, that power that we felt in this place, is it ever going to return? And here we are. And here we are, celebrating. This is the completion of our 6-week series, and it's been such a personal journey that we've been exploring these ways of discerning the shape of our soul, is the phrase that I've been talking about. That if we can just really understand who God made us to be, that will guide us in what we are to do in the world. How we are to show up with extraordinary respect for ourselves and for others. So we have explored our desires, our interests, our values, our gifts, our talents. And today's talk is called Bringing It to the World. And for this first point of the talk, I've titled, Who, me? Surely not me. Some of you may be saying, who am I to be the one to bring a gift from God into the world? Surely that's just for the people up on this stage, or that's just for the people doing those big, obviously gifted roles in the world, leaders and dynamic people. Those are the ones who are supposed to bring the gift of their soul to the world. But me? I think you know what my answer to that question is for you. If you don't know it, I'll give it to you. Yes, you. You. And you. Each one of you have a gift to own. Recognize how beautifully unique you are. There is something that can come through you into your family, into this church, into the world, into the city that will come no other way. You're it. Tag. You're it. And so I have a short message today of really just encouraging you to, who, me? Yes, me. Ralph Waldo Emerson, one of the transcendental philosophers, There's a quote that I have shared so many times. It's always right here, right on the tip of my tongue, and I share it. It's, the fact that I am here shows me that the soul had need of an organ. Shall I not assume the post? Isn't that it? And what he means by soul is not our individual soul, but the soul of the universe has called us all here. I want to read the whole quote. It's a little bit longer, and it's 19th century philosopher language. Don't worry, I'll break it down for you. I desire not to disgrace the soul. The fact that I am here certainly shows me that the soul had need of an organ here. Shall I not assume the post? Shall I skulk and dodge and duck with my unseasonable apologies and vain modesty and imagine that my being here is impertinent? Less pertinent than Epaminondas or Homer being there, and that the soul did not know its own needs? Besides, without any reasoning on the matter, I have no discontent. The good soul nourishes me and unlocks new magazines of power and enjoyment to me every day. I will not meanly decline the immensity of good because I have heard that it has come to others in another shape. What Emerson is telling us is this: God don't make no mistakes. There are no extra people, like spares. Doesn't work that way. Each of us is uniquely equipped and called to step into our authentic nature and give it to the world. We're called to do this. And our modesty around it is vanity. I love that. My vain modesty. Here's another phrase: to get my bloated nothingness out of the way. You know, that's the ego coming in the back door, y'all. Who am I? Oh, I could never. That's the ego running the show. Who are you not to be the gift of God? And it doesn't mean you have to be a Pulitzer Prize winner or a Nobel Prize winner. It means you just show up fully, presently, and stop denigrating the gift that you are. Everybody just take a breath right now. I feel like we need one. Were you worried that anybody was going to get more air than you? Did you think that like some of us, that there's only so much in here? We all took one at once. What if I didn't get mine? Did you have any thought about that? No. And that's what Emerson is saying. It's the same thing. There's enough breath for everybody. And because it comes differently to some people, does that mean it's not coming to me at all? So I want you to think about that. Anytime you're having moments of those, crises of doubt and lack of self-confidence, just take a breath and go, wait, there's plenty for me. And you know that old thing that in that breath you just took are some of the same atoms that were in the body of Jesus, in the body of Muhammad, in the body of Buddha. Absolutely true in every breath. Some of the same molecules have been here since before life on earth. You're a part of something. And all you have to do is say yes to being you. That's really the message, but I have a little bit more to say. So you know me. Because I want to talk about bringing it to the world. This is what Ernest Holmes says about that. Humanity is God in action. And we must know this, believe this, and act from this premise. Then we never plead for God to do anything for us. But isn't that what prayer is? Aren't we asking God to do things for us? Listen to this. We never plead with God to do anything for us. Rather, we rise in the integrity of our own being and, thinking rightly, move into action to produce the good we need. As we perceive this eternal process of our inner self as God thinking through us, we become conscious of great possibilities and become co-creators with the Almighty of a good world. A world filled with good people living in justice, peace, and love. How does that happen, this world of justice, peace, and love? By individuals who breathe the same air that you breathe, who are willing to say, shall I not assume the post? and step forward. The good of God is inexhaustible. You know, we're going to talk about this in a minute, but form changes. Spirit is eternally moving in and out of form, and sometimes the forms that we have come to associate with good go away. And so we think good must be depleting. God's running out of himself, herself, itself. Cannot be. Good is eternal, inexhaustible supply. That is our source of being. And when the form goes away, instead, well, no, let me get this absolutely. We must grieve. Grief is healthy and required so that we can cleanly and openly allow the new form to come into place. So I don't know what it is that has been lost in your life, but you're going to lose more. This is the nature of incarnate reality. But you're not damaged by the losing. What you're invited into is the transformation, the rebirth, the welcoming in a higher, more apt form for your experience. Because if you know who you are, God knows your name. You're open to let it come through. Free of all the old false and limiting beliefs you used to have when you created that last form, marriage. Free to let all that stuff go. I'm kidding. And free to call into your being the most perfect experience for you. And this community, Unity of Houston, 102 years we have been here, celebrating the good of God, co-creating through humanity into form in ever and ever higher forms of reality. That's what we're here to do, to teach these wonderful practices and do it with our arms around each other, sharing our highs and our lows as we do. Who am I to be a leader? Parker Palmer. I always stumble over his names just like those steps. Leadership is a concept we often resist. It seems immodest, even self-aggrandizing, to think of ourselves as leaders. But if it's true that we are made for community, then leadership is everyone's vocation. And it can be an evasion to insist that it is not. When we live in a close-knit ecosystem called community, everyone follows and everyone leads. And Jesus said, whoever wants to be first must become the servant of all. Servant leadership. We come together in sacred community to give our gift, as good or as modest as it is, we give it and trust that God knows what to do with it. So I just want to take a moment to thank everyone for being a part of this incredible community. Some who have been here for more than 40 years, serving, giving their gifts. And some, this may be your very first Sunday, but you were invited into this experience of this shared wonderful flowering that we call Unity of Houston. Celebration Sunday is also the launch of our committed giving program. So for this next portion of the talk today, if this isn't your community, then I just invite your positive vibes. Just send us your love. This is an important conversation we have once a year. And so we are talking about growing by giving. And I thought we'd start by looking at our purpose statement. Can we read this together? In community, we nurture and empower each other, transforming our lives that we may serve the world. You know, it doesn't say anything in there about having an 11 o'clock service with a great band, does it? That's an important part of the way we do community, but that's just a form. These are the essential qualities. Go back to the previous screen, if you don't mind, William. Yeah, these nurturing and empowering each other, transforming, healing our own lives, so that we're free to give our gift. And when things have been disrupted in our community, maybe the way we used to do church isn't happening anymore, and you don't like the new way, and so maybe God doesn't live at Unity anymore because they don't sing that song anymore. I don't know what you're thinking about that. But the forms will change. Now, this is one of my favorite Bible passages from Isaiah. Behold, I will do a new thing. Now it shall spring forth. Shall you not know it? I will even make a way in the wilderness and the rivers in the desert. We are in the midst of a culture change around church like we've never seen it in this country. It's just the truth. Every denomination. For many years, the Southern Baptists were the ones bucking the trends, but they're experiencing it now too. People are leaving church. They're not going the way they used to. And we could bemoan it, bewail it. We could just get all sad that church, as we know it, is dying. Or we could remember the deeper truth. Behold, I will do a new thing. The world may tell us the church business is going under, and we say, no, God can make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert. So what is being asked of us is new forms, new ways for us to reach people and welcome them into community. There are 4 that I want to share with you that are happening in our community right now that have life, energy, river in the desert kind of energy. So let's talk about the unity in the community. This group of people, dedicated souls who just really got fed up with the fact that we just kept talking about ourselves all the time. So we need to be helping people in this city. So focusing on homelessness, hunger, childhood advocacy, feeding people. And in the pandemic, my goodness, what that team brought to being. And the volunteers, many of you, anyone who is a part of Unity in the Community in the last year, would you stand right now? I just want to give you some love. In the leadership and volunteers, please stand so we can just say we love you and we appreciate you. Thank you. It's a new form for our church to be involved in the city in this way, and it's got life. It's got energy. The next one, Spanish ministry. You got to hear Miggy and Manny up here singing this song every Sunday. They're in the pyramid. They're with us today, and Beatrice is in the back. She's translating this live, so let's give our Spanish team a wonderful round of applause. You may or may not know, but we have committed to seeing Claudia Almos through the ordination process. She will be our ordained unity minister in our Spanish ministry. This is a commitment we have made. Is Claudia here? Where's Claudia? Stand up, Claudia. We just want to love on you just a moment. Mwah! We love you so much. And it's not just the Spanish speakers in Houston. They are reaching people around the world. Third, small group ministry. It's amazing, the energy. We have more people in spirit groups now than we've ever had. Well over 300 people. I see there's a spirit group right there. There's a spirit group right over there. If you're a part of a spirit group, would you just raise your hand and wave at us? Look around. See this? People are finding their friends, their spiritual companions, weaving our community together at such an important heart level. And it's not just spirit groups. That happens in classes, support groups, where the ministers are, Reverend Karen's heading up a new support group for those who are experiencing loss. We want to find ways that you don't have to be just a spectator at Unity. You can come in and meet your people and be loved and held and supported in this life. And then the last one I want to talk about is our online ministry. We didn't have much of one. We did, actually. We were live streaming, but we'd have about 30 people watching live. I don't know if you know this, but we've been getting between 700 and 800 people total, between the 100 or 200 we're having in the room, another 500 or 600 watching us at the same time. Imagine that. And that's consistent. Week after week, we are reaching people, some who are part of this ministry, and some of you all told me, I'm going to still pledge, Michael, but I'm going to stay at home. Because it's just easier for me. And you know, you're blessed, and we just keep those checks coming. No, we just want you to be there. We really do want you to be there. We want to meet you where you are. But it's not just our people here in Houston. Last December, we welcomed new members from around the country for the first time. We now have people that are committed givers, pledgers, in 7 or 8 different states who are now a part of our community. This is important. Some of the old ways are not going to support this church like they did in the past century, but there's new life. New things are happening. What's next? I forgot what I was talking about. Oh yeah, so these are the 4 levels of our committed givership. Givership? I'm making up words now. The grateful giver is up to about 100 a month. The loyalty giver is about 100 to 300, and then the Watermark giver is 300, and then those who give above that 300 level, up to over $833 a month, and I think it comes to $10,000 or $15,000 a year. I think that's why those are the people who we call them our bodhisattvas. that they're not only paying their way here, but they're making the door available for others. So next, let's talk about the Watermark. That's the one I really want to focus on. And here's the way we come to this. Here's what it means. Watermark, it is the line to show that the reservoir is full. And so what we've done with our finances in this church is we thought, well, we have about 1,300 people that give. And about 600 pretty regularly. They don't all pledge, but about 600 people give very regularly. And what we just did some math on that. Given what our budget is, if all 600 of those people were to give at this Watermark level, $70 a week, $300 a month, $3,600 a year, budget is fully funded. That's all it would take. I know many of you are getting a little lump in your throat. It's like, I can't do $300 a month, and that's okay. Others can. We want to thank everyone who is giving anything, either in their time, or their talent, their service, or their financial support for this community. We couldn't do it without you. Every bit of it matters. And for those who are giving more, our Watermark and our legacy givers, like I said, you're our bodhisattvas. You have been blessed, and you're sharing that blessing to make sure that unity is here for everyone. There's never a price tag on the door. You're always welcome to be here. And I want to share with you a couple of things about the COVID-19 impact, because we haven't been talking about it much, and several people said, tell us what's really going on. So I'm going to share with you some of our news. Our non-pledge love offerings were down almost $300,000 in 2020. That's a lot. So it required, and we thought that as we would get through COVID, we thought for sure by this time we'd be fully open, past it, and we're not. So that trend is continuing, that our love offerings are way down. And so what we have done as your leadership team is we have greatly reduced our expenses as much as we can to stay in integrity. We spend what is given. We do believe in the abundance of the universe, and that's the way we live, and that's what we practice. So here's some things that have happened. Our pledgers, those of you who have been committed monthly givers, you've carried us. It used to be about half of our annual budget. It's closer to 3/4 now, coming from you who give monthly. It means everything. And we've also received some one-time special gifts. People have said, I know that the church is hurting. Here is $25,000. Here's $10,000. Here's $3,000. People have been doing this because they love us. And so because of that and because of the 2 forgivable loans from the federal government that were forgiven, we did all that right, we have not had to use any of our prudent reserves. We have been able to preserve our savings through this time. That's a big thing. And as they're not predicting any PPP funding for going forward, we received about $185,000 this year. Without that, we're facing another significant budget shortfall, and we will have to make some more cuts this year, unless more of you step into partnership with us in this financial agreement. We're having a grown-up conversation about it. That's all we're doing. And this is the one time of the year where we really talk about it in this way. Just let you know what it costs to keep the doors open. And we're asking what you would be willing to commit to in joy and generosity, not out of guilt or obligation. That's not the way we do it. So for those who are currently giving below the watermark, I would just ask you to consider it in prayer. Maybe what would it take to reach to that level? Or if not reach to it, at least increase closer to it. Some people have told me that they had a 3-year goal to get to watermark, and they did it. So just consider that. The next slide. Why are we doing this? Well, here's what would happen if we got more people up to the watermark. 100 more people at watermark might give us up to $350,000. 300 could give us an additional $1 million if we could get more people up to that watermark level, if it's possible. And what could we do with that? Here's just a few things. Those things I told you about that are already thriving and flourishing, we could invest in them. We could invest in the future of Unity of Houston. Our small group and Spanish ministries. We can continue to maintain this beautiful sacred space, our campus. We could expand support for our youth and family ministries. You know how important that is, that we get new generations in here. And that we could have a greater investment in the technology we're going to need for the next 10 years. That's really what it's about. And here's what I'm asking you to think about. It's just being a part of building the next 100 years at Unity of Houston. I would like you all to pull out your phones, or you should have, if those who are present, you should have received a pledge card when you came in. And now may not be the time that you are going to complete your form, but I would at least like you to prayerfully consider it. And all you have to do is just shoot your camera up here at this sign, and it will take you to the website. It's a very simple form. If you're not going to pledge, what I ask you for you right now is just this positive energy towards our program. I know you love Unity of Houston. You may be pledged and committed someplace else, but please give us your thoughts, give us your prayers as we do this most important work of our year. What else do I want to say about that? I think it's time to sing another song, and let's finish this service. So, here. But don't give up on your own life or the life of this church. There is a brighter day ahead for us.
There's a new territory that I've never seen before. Like a fire of transformation breaking through my core, shining in the darkness. I can see a light of day, and this new territory, it is our strength, it is our way. There's a new territory that I've never seen before, like a fire of transformation breaking through my core, shining in the darkness. I can see the light of day, and this new territory is my strength, it is my way. And this new territory, it is our strength, so let us pray. And I pray that you will see the best of life, the best of love, the very best of everything. And I pray that you will see the best of life, the best of love, the very best of everything. Wake up, wake up and see the best of life, the best of love, the very best of everything. Forgive and see the best of life, the best of love, the very best of everything. Let go and see the best of life, the best of love, the very best of everything. And I pray that you will see the best of life, the best of love, the very best of everything. And I pray that you will see the best of life, the best of love, the very best of everything. Just thank you. Hold that energy of celebration and move with me to prayer right now. I want to pray for all of those pledge forms that have just been filled out and those who will be filling out their form later. But like I said, even if that's not your calling and that's not yours to do right now, I invite your energy around this beautiful church. I invite your knowing of our wholeness and our health and our vitality. So I just speak a word of blessing upon every giver, every person who is saying yes to us reaching this new territory of possibility in ministry. I bless everyone who is a part of this service today and those who will watch it later. And we welcome these gifts, and we pledge ourselves to use them honorably and only in those activities that support our purpose, transforming lives, serving the world. So God, we give thanks that you are our source, and I just bless every channel through which you flow into the good of this church. We give thanks, and so it is. Amen.
Thank you for watching this message today.
I'd like to invite you to join us in person here on campus at Unity of Houston for Sunday morning or Wednesday evening services. If you can't be with us here on our campus, you can still join us live on Facebook or on our website, unityhouston.org, Sunday mornings at 11 a.m. Central.